just a waste. The Reaper's scythe, no life can escape. Beneath the flies, beneath the filth, I spread the plague with a twisted will. From festering wounds, corruption grows in the heart of death. God, where despair flows. I am the harbinger, the bringer of disease. In Nurgle's name I spread death with ease. Pestilence water me hand in hand. Rivers of filth drown the land. I am Typhus, master of decay. In the name of ruin I claim the day. Light crumbles to dust. Wherever I tread, rot consumes the just. Space hulks reek of a foul rebirth. Carriers of plague across the cursed earth. Beneath the flies, beneath the filth, I spread the plague with a twisted will. From festering wounds, corruption grows in the heart of death. God, where despair flows. I am the harbinger, the bringer of disease. In Nurgle's name I spread death with ease. Pestilence water me hand in hand. Rivers of filth drown the land. I am Typhus, master of decay. In the name of ruin I claim the day. The Imperium's light crumbles to dust. Wherever I tread, rot consumes the just. Space hulks reek of a foul rebirth. Carriers of plague across the cursed earth. Beneath the flies, beneath the filth, I spread the plague with a twisted will. From festering wounds, corruption grows in the heart of death. God.
Good evening, everybody, or good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you might be in the world. Welcome to the Discussing Resilient podcast, the next one in the interview series. And I am very, very, very happy to be joined by Joe from War Games Live. Joe, thank you very much for coming on. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me, Dave. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good.
Excellent, excellent. If, as usual, if people in chat can just let us know that you can actually hear us, that's always a good start. And because technology and all that fun stuff, and also if kind of volumes are okay. But yeah, I mean, look, as the community knows, what I've been trying to do is bring in some people from other so Will Riley in chat just said, it feels so weird seeing Joe not at an event. And somebody called Nurgle Matthews in chat. I don't know if you know who that is, Joe.
Yeah, of course. Hey, Matt, what's up, man? Nurgle Matt and Discussing Resilient podcast. That makes a lot of sense.
That does make a lot
He's
of
everywhere,
sense.
though. He's Ozzy. Matt is like Ozymandias, in Watchmen, with that movie. Yeah, that's my mental picture of Matt. He's got every single channel, every single stream. Amazing guy.
Because yes, as I was saying, what we're trying to do is to bring some other people from other channels, other kind of experiences, and kind of other views within the 40k community that isn't just us sitting here every week talking to you about Death Guard and tactics. I know that's what everyone follows the channel for and subs to, but it's kind of interesting. Hence why we had Dan Abnett on recently, and now.
Well, to be honest, too, Dave. Right now, to be good at Death Guard, you just have to take random models out of your case and throw them on the board. So there's really not a whole lot of Death Guard tactics to talk.
That's next week's video. That's like our next. It's basically it's called the blender. You just kind of get a shaker and throw some models in there and then scatter them onto the table. If deployment doesn't even matter.
Right. Right. Okay, sorry to interrupt. Okay.
No. Don't apologize at all. Yeah, it's kind of it's really interesting to kind of get you on and to talk to you. So I think, like we chatted about, Joe, if you don't mind, if we can kind of go, I guess, a bit more to the beginning of you and War Games Live, and even a bit before that. How did 40k crash into your life?
So I think there's a lot of people of a certain age that have a similar experience to me, at least in the U.S., which is in the U.S., we didn't know what the hell Games Workshop was in the 90s, really, for most people. And then I think it was the late 80s, early 90s, Milton Bradley partnered up with Games Workshop to release a board game called Hero Quest, which is legendary at this point, right?
Yeah.
And I got a box of Hero Quest when I was probably, I don't know, in my 10, 11, 12 years old. And just from the moment I opened that box and saw the miniatures, I didn't give a shit about the game. Hero Quest is kind of like a. So I don't know if I'm allowed to curse, by the way, Dave.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, go ahead.
You probably need to. Okay. The game itself is pretty bad. Hero Quest, like
Right.
the default rules are like roll a d6 for your movement every turn, and like, but when you open that box, man, the miniatures in that box they just transported me to a different world. Like they're just so awesome, so much personality, and having the little like cardboard furniture and the little. Of course, I'm a huge dwarf guy in every fantasy setting, so there was an awesome dwarf in the box with the little axe and his awesome beard. And anyway, so I got Hero Quest, and I just fell in love with the miniatures. And I don't remember exactly how. I think maybe there was a flyer in the box or something, but there was a thing that Games Workshop was making, because Games Workshop made the miniatures for Hero Quest, and Milton Bradley made the game, right? But Games Workshop was also publishing this thing that most people probably never heard of called Advanced Hero Quest,
Right.
which was like it was like the precursor to Warhammer fantasy roleplay. It was like way before that. And so I sent off, and this was back in the day. I had to send like a check in the mail to the UK, and they shipped me like eight weeks later or something, 9 weeks later, a box of Advanced Hero Quest, and in that box there was also an old Citadel catalog from back then. And again, like Dave, you said that you didn't start playing Warhammer until like 9th edition, but
No.
those old like 90s Citadel miniature catalogs, oh my god, dude, they're still awesome to look at. I don't know if you ever like flipped through them, but so I saved up all my money for Christmas and my birthday. As a kid, I got money on Christmas and my birthday. That was like the two times I got money.
Yeah.
And I saved all my money, and I bought a bunch of pewter Citadel miniatures from the catalog. This is back to when like you didn't order a specific miniature. You ordered like if I wanted a rock troll,
Yeah.
and I wanted a specific rock troll pose, I would just have to try to get lucky because they'd just pick one from the different poses they had and ship it to you. So, so anyway, I spent all my money for the whole year on a whole bunch of Citadel miniatures. And then I swear to God, it took 6 months for me to get that stuff in the mail because I had to send a check in the mail to England.
Wow.
And then wait for it to come over.
How far
And
we've come.
so that was kind of my initial exposure. And then, through that, I started like going around to, we had a local Games Workshop store in the city I grew up in. And I walked in there and this was back in the day when they had like a big gaming table that was just covered in green felt and had a couple armies set up. So that was what planted the seed. And then I remember just like finding it impossible to actually paint miniatures. I had no idea how to do it. I tried it. It was terrible. And I just put it on a shelf. I just walked away from it for like, I don't know, 15 years. And then I came back. YouTube was when Duncan Rhodes started doing his tutorials on how to paint Warhammer stuff on Warhammer's official YouTube channel. And I watched one of those videos, and it was just like, I think I could actually do this. Like, I think I could actually maybe do this now. And that's what kind of got me back into the hobby. And I walked into the store, and I originally wanted to play fantasy because I'm such a huge dwarf guy.
Fan, yeah.
And at the time, this was like right at the beginning of 7th edition 40K. The guy at the store was like, nobody plays fantasy anymore. The game's dying. If you want to actually be able to play the game, you need to play 40K instead. So I was like, okay, I guess, are there dwarves in 40K? And the guy's like, no. So there used to be, but not. And so the next closest thing that there was to dwarves, I guess, was Space Vikings.
Yep.
So that's how I picked up Space Wolves. And it's something I got into in I guess like mid to late 20s, I would say, and got plugged into my local community. And the guys at that store were all big tournament players, and that's how I started going to Warhammer tournaments as well. So, it's funny how I think a lot of people have this experience where they get a seed planted in their brain with Warhammer at a young age, but then they can't afford it. And so they get to be like, when they're in their 20s and they actually have a job and some income, they come back to Warhammer and they jump back into it with both feet. So that's kind of what happened to me as well.
Cool. That's really interesting. And so then, the next step on that from playing it, and obviously you're still a big Spaceballs fan now, which we all know famously, is what was your kind of, I guess, what were you doing kind of professionally at the time or for a living at the time? And then how did it start to get to the point of going, okay, I'm going to start streaming this stuff?
Yeah. So when I started playing, I was a teacher. I was teaching, but this was already my second career. Yeah, second career. So when I first got out, I got my degree in biochemistry, and then I went straight into, from biochemistry, I went straight into computer sales and stuff, which of course is what you do, right? You get your chemistry degree,
Yeah.
and you completely ignore that. You don't do chemistry at
Totally
all,
relevant.
and you jump straight into
yeah. Do something not that.
yeah. So I was a product management consultant for like 6 years, which is, basically gathering software requirements from businesses to figure out what they want their software to do, and then working with the actual developers to make sure the software they were making is what would solve the problem the business had, right? So I did that for about 6 years.
But are you a fan of the film Office Space?
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
What you just described as a bit where the consultants are interviewing and they're like, so what you do
the
is
bots.
you take the plans from the engineers to the customers.
Yep.
Well, no.
100%. Yes. and that's sort of why I got out of it, because, well, two reasons. One, I know you've done some consulting, Dave, but for me, the hard thing was you put all this effort into something, and then your consulting job is done, and you never get to see where it goes, right?
Yeah.
You're checked out.
Yeah.
You're in there for like the really hard stuff at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get it going and you get it started in a good direction, and then you have to walk away and just start doing something else, which is, it's good and bad, right? Because the constant new stuff and being different all the time is exciting. But the bad thing for me was like, I never got to see something all the way through. And then I also realized that I just hated the idea that my working career would just be to make some billionaire more money, right? I just hated that as an idea. So I just walked away from it. I was making really good money. I had a really bright future ahead of me. And I remember the moment that I walked away from that was I had an interview with a recruiter who was out in Silicon Valley. And this was like in the, mid 2000s, roughly. And they asked me what I wanted to do in 5 years. And I said, blah, 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 some bullshit, interview answer. And the interview guy was like, no, what you should be thinking of is set your sights. You should be looking to have my job in 5 years. Like, this is what you should be looking for. And I remember looking at the guy and just being like, you look like you're miserable. I don't want to be you in 5 years, right? Like, that would be terrible. So that was kind of the moment that just broke in my head. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, right? So I walked away from that. I went back to school and got my master's in education in a program where you could get your master's in education and at the same time get your teaching certification.
Okay.
Because I didn't have a teaching background, I had a chemistry degree. So, but there was a program in the U.S. for science teachers where they wanted to we had a shortage. So they had a thing where you could have a science degree. They would get you your master's in education at the same time, do all the stuff you need to do to get your teaching certificate. So I did that, and then I taught high school chemistry for about 6 years. And the funny thing about teaching is it's almost that same thing we talked about with consulting, which is you work really hard on a class of students for a school year, and then the next year they're gone, and you start over with a new group of kids, right? And that ended up being pretty tough for me. It was a little bit easier because I ended up teaching some senior level classes, which are like college level chemistry classes as well. So I was able to like get my favorite students and talk them into taking that class their senior year, so I could get to have them back in my classroom to have again. That was a nice thing, but it was still hard, and teaching is an extremely emotionally draining job if you care about doing a good job, right? Especially for someone like me who's an introvert. I would spend all day, every day at my job teaching on a stage, and then I would have to like recharge my batteries in the evenings and on the weekends, and then throw myself back into it. So what eventually got me away from teaching is I had a health scare where I had a really, so I'm a redhead, and I've always known my whole life I was going to have skin cancer at some point. It was just a question of when. But the skin cancer, the type that I had, was something I didn't even know existed. Which, by the way, if any of you guys out there watching don't know about this and you're fair complexion, there's a type of a melanoma that's called amelanotic melanoma, which is melanoma that is completely invisible. It doesn't,
Oh,
like,
wow.
usually melanoma is like a dark black
Yeah,
spot
yeah,
in
yeah.
your skin, and it's really scary skin cancer because it's often metastatic and it's very aggressive a lot of times. And so I had always known to look out for that stuff. So I actually had one of those melanomas being removed, and at the same time they were doing that, they just happened to find one of these amelanotic melanomas in the vicinity, and it was completely a fluke, right? It's completely by chance that they
Right.
caught this. Um, and anyway, so after that happened, I was just kind of like, it gave me an opportunity to reassess if I wanted to keep, like, if I was going to die tomorrow, you know, am I doing what I want to do, right?
Right.
Am
Yeah,
I
yeah.
is teaching, as much as I love it, as much as I love doing it, is it really what I wanted to do with my life? And I decided it wasn't, so I stopped, and I took all my money, all my savings, all my retirement money, and everything else, and I bought a little cabin in the woods in New Mexico, in the middle of nowhere, that was super cheap to live at. Right, so my goal was, I'm gonna just live as cheaply as I can
Yeah.
for as long as I can to give myself a chance to just figure out what I want to do.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So so I did that for about 4 years, which is a long time to do not much. Um, but in some ways it was nice, but I just really missed having more of a purpose, I guess, in my life. So so then during COVID, I was working at this crappy job as a cashier at a solar observatory up in the mountains, making minimum wage. And I got laid off from that job when COVID started
Right.
because it was a gift shop. No one's
Yeah,
going
no one's
there,
coming.
you know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it made me really mad because the other people working there were still working because they had like made up fake jobs for themselves to do.
Right.
Um, and I mean, maybe this is pride or whatever, but like getting laid off from a minimum wage cashier job was galling to me, right? It
I
just,
would
it
have
really
felt the
pissed
same.
me off.
Yeah.
Um, because I was like, this is like it's like the simplest job. There was like, we'd get like two people a day at most that would
Yeah.
come in there to
Sure.
this observatory because we were way on the middle of nowhere, you know. So anyway, at that point, I just decided, you know what? I'm tired of working for other people. The thing that's made me miserable in all my jobs really has been working for somebody else, and I just don't want to do it
Yeah,
anymore.
the theme running through this
I
is
refuse.
yeah.
Yeah. So I just was like, I just need to. I'm not doing it anymore. I need to figure out something else. And I start off actually with a couple ideas, but I kept coming back to Warhammer because I had always been one of these people who's like, I pick up hobbies and I get really into them for like 6 months
Right.
or a year, and then I just put them down and never come back to them again. Right? I've had countless things like that in my life, but Warhammer has been the only thing I've ever had in my life that I just keep coming back to. You know, it never gets old for me. I always get drawn back into it, even
Yeah.
if I take a break. Um, so I thought, I want to do something that serves the Warhammer community because I think it's a group of really great people, and um, I wanted to make a product that I was sorely missing, and I think a lot of us were,
Yeah.
especially during COVID, which is tournaments. Like, we didn't have Warhammer tournaments, not just streams, but I couldn't go to a tournament for like 3 years, you know.
Yeah.
And I just realized how much I missed it because it was such a because to me a tournament's not just the tournament, it's everything around the tournament. You know, it's the getting together with your buddies and tinkering on a list, or buying a new model kit and getting it painted and ready in time for the tournament,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
at the tournament, during lunch after the first game of the tournament, you get back with your buddies and you all complain about all the shit that didn't go your first game, or just
Yeah, yeah.
the whole thing that around it was such as I just missed it so much. And there were some streams, but the streams that were going on at the time were being run by mostly Frontline Gaming, and for whatever reason, they had decided to stop miking up the players for the streams.
Okay.
And I just I hated that decision. Like I just didn't understand why, because the game is so hard to follow if you can't hear the players talking. Like you don't know what's happening. Like
So what did they replace it with lift music or something?
no, it was just two commentators.
Okay.
They were just talking about it's kind of like the GW streams are now.
Right, yeah.
But this was Frontline Gaming. They didn't have to do it. I don't know why they did it. I'm sure they had some reason, but because they used to, like, I've been watching streams of Warhammer for forever, right? Like LVO has been streamed for so long, and they used to mic up the players for a long time, and then they stopped. And the other thing that I hated a lot, Dave, honestly, was the top-down camera view that everyone was using for streams. Yeah. Like, because the top-down camera is this really interesting paradox, because you look at it and you're like, well, that shows everything happening. But the truth is, the top-down camera doesn't show anything, because your brain, you can't recognize. When's the last time you looked at any of your models in your collection straight down from the top?
Yeah. Right?
Like I don't even know what this model that I spent 50 hours painting looks like from that angle, right? I never look at it that way. And so what I realized was there were some people who could follow the game from that angle, and those were the people that were like super invested in the tactical side of the game, like the like the Art of War guys, like those guys. And I love those guys, by the way. I'm not talking shit about them at all, but there are some people who engage with this game from that point of view, where they look at the game as a game, right? And if you're looking at it just as a game, that angle actually shows you everything you need to know, because you're just interested in the tactical positioning and thinking about all this other stuff. But you know what? For me, Dave, like that's like 10% or 15 or 20% maybe at most of what makes me excited about 40K, right?
I mean, but also, as humans, we don't look at the game when we're standing at the table from that angle either.
Right.
So you're actually right. I think there's
unless you're like Liam VSL and you're like super tall, you get close to see, but yeah, you can't process the game that way unless you're already so invested in the game that you kind of already know what's happening, and you're just looking at the board to see, like, between these two choices, which one did this person choose, right? Sure. Whereas for most of us, it's like there's an infinite variety of choices, and like 99% of those choices are bad choices. But I don't know that because I'm not that good at the game, right? So anyway, I thought that the way that streaming was being done wasn't capturing the visual aspect of the game, which to me is what makes 40K different from anything else, right? And so I was like, okay, well, here's something that I really think is a missing thing in the community that I would love to have myself. And I have time to work on it because it's COVID. I just got laid off, and tournaments aren't going to start up for another year or two. So I'm just going to like spend all my waking hours for the next year getting ready for when tournaments start up again. Right. And so that's what I did. I spent about a year before I ever did the first live stream working on testing out different equipment, writing the code for the scoreboard software, learning how to use OBS, learning how to use a mixer, learning. I wish I had some more pictures of my initial prototyping stages, because like the first thing I tried for getting shots of the table was I bought one of those. It's like a pop-up canopy. Okay. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. It's like a gazebo. It's got like 4 legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I bought one of those things. And then I strapped a bunch of like LED strip lights that you'd use like a garage to the poles of that thing. And then I think I duct taped just a camcorder to the center of it for the top. The top-down camera sucks, but you have to have it because
of course you do.
it's the establishing shot, right? It's
It
the
is.
like in a what's the so I'm thinking of like American football. The one shot you start every play with in American football is that shot right down the line of
Yeah, I think
scrimmage,
they call it like
which
the
is like
world
when you
cam
see
feed or that, which is like same with soccer or whatever. Like there's always that goes. This is what the overall state of the game is right now before we go into
yes,
storytelling.
right. You have to have that
Yes,
shot
you do.
to lay the context for everything else. But that's its only job,
Yes,
right?
yeah,
Is to set
correct.
context. Whereas like other people had used that shot as this is the whole thing. For me,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
shot is that's the cover of the book, right? That's what that shot
Yeah,
is,
yeah,
right? So anyway, so I had that like a regular camcorder duct taped to the middle of this gazebo thing. It just didn't work. There was lots of reasons why it didn't work. And I also from the beginning wanted to have like other angles because I thought this is how if you ever watch a sports broadcast,
yeah.
like golf, for example, golf is boring as hell. Okay, like I love golf. Like I grew up, my grandpa was a huge golfer, and I see the good things about golf. But like as a TV thing,
As an experience, yeah, as a
golf
viewer.
it has the potential to be extremely boring.
Mm-hmm.
But one way they keep golf interesting on TV is if you sit down, and I did this when I was getting ready for the stream. I sat down with a stopwatch and a notebook,
Yeah.
and I watched a golf broadcast. And I every time they switched camera angles, I would time how long they would stay on something. And what I found was they would stay on a shot no more than 5 to 7 seconds throughout the entire broadcast. They would be switching cameras every 5 to 6 or 7 seconds. Even if there's not anything like different happening, they would have a different angle on the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So just they could keep it visually interesting, right? Like they'd zoom in on the guy's face, or they'd zoom in on the flag, or they'd have a wide shot of the green, or they'd have a medium shot of the fairway, whatever, right?
There's
Yeah, or they'd have, and then every once in a while they'd cut to the broadcasting team who was talking, and then they'd cut to, they just, they have 50,000 cameras for one of these productions. And I was like, okay, this is how you make this, because 40K, in my opinion, has a similar kind of pace and energy as a game of golf.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of times when there's not anything happening, and then there's some times when there's really exciting stuff happening.
Yeah.
But you got to like fill in the gaps between those really exciting periods with other things that are interesting to keep people engaged.
Peaks and troughs.
So
leveling out the gaps.
Yeah, exactly right. So my challenge was, okay, how do I get 50,000 camera angles when I have a budget of like $2,000? Which I know $2,000 sounds like it's a decent chunk of money, but like when you're talking about
trying to do
like video production, video production money is insane.
It's
like
crazy.
The amount that you can literally spend as much money as you want on video production. Like you can spend millions. Right. So so I was trying to figure out how to do this on the cheap, and which was really interesting to me because that was a lot of problem solving and having to try out different things. So I eventually found a system that I got working decently for pretty cheap. And then I just had to wait until tournaments started up again. And I waited for a couple months and sent out an email to the first tournament. It was just like, hey, I want to stream your event. I've never done this before. I don't really know what I'm doing, but can I come out and stream it? And I sent them a link to my YouTube channel, which was empty. I literally had nothing on there at all.
And Joe, who was that? Who was the first person you reached out to? Do you remember? Yeah,
it was War Games for Warriors. Mario Capizzo is the TO in Utah.
Nice.
Which is where I am right now, actually. And that was another crazy thing because I was living in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico. I would drive an hour and a half each way every weekend to play a game of 40K. The closest town to me was an hour and a half away.
Okay.
And it was a town of like 15,000 people, maybe 20,000 people. And I would go there every weekend to get my groceries and play a game of 40K.
Yeah.
Back and forth. But I wasn't really plugged into like a tournament scene anymore the way I had been back when I was teaching.
Yeah.
I lived in a city where we had tournaments all the time. Like we had tournaments at least once a month. And this was back in the day when tournaments were not as common as they are today.
Wow.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, so you're
So
really
we'd
fortunate.
have tournaments like once a month. Yeah, and I would go not to every single one of those, but I'd go to a decent chunk of them. Um, anyway, so I'm still to this day, Dave, like blown away that first tournament said yes to me,
Yeah,
because who the hell am I? Like I'm just some random guy, right? Like they literally have no idea who I am, and I'm not even from anywhere nearby them, and they're just like, yeah, sure, come on out, stream the tournament,
that's really
and
cool.
that blows me away, man. It's
Yeah,
crazy
yeah.
how generous people have been with the access to these events.
But there's also a don't ask,
Um,
don't get.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, that's true.
like
That's true.
like they could have
Yeah,
been there
and there's
going, God, wouldn't it be great if we could stream our events? But we just got no idea how to do it. And then Joe knocks on the door. It's like, hey,
yeah, there was a guy there who was like interested in streaming stuff, but he hadn't really done it yet, and we had got together before the event and
yeah,
talked about things. Um, but then the funny thing, Dave, is like when I first started, like when I walk in there and I start setting up, because when I started the stream,
yeah,
I think I had 15 cameras that I set up
wow,
for the game, because when I first started, I couldn't afford cameras that I could control remotely, right? So what I did instead is I bought a bunch of these really cheap. They were like $50 USB cameras that they use in like security systems, but they're actually really nice quality. They had like actual glass lenses and pretty decent sensors and stuff.
okay,
I mean, nothing, nowhere near as good as what I have now, but like they were pretty decent. But the thing about it was, I had to um, point all of the cameras and focus them, right, and get them
yeah,
focused
yeah.
manually at places where I
Where
thought
you thought the
something
action was
cool
going to take
might
place.
happen.
Yeah,
Yes, during the game, right?
yeah,
And if I guessed wrong, then the cool thing could be happening just out of frame over here, right?
yeah, yeah.
And it would drive me crazy, dude. It would drive me crazy. And I couldn't just get up and move the camera in the middle of
No,
the
of course
game,
you couldn't.
because
Yeah,
first of all, I don't want to interrupt the players, and I also, those
and it's
cameras
focused, and yeah,
had
like,
a pretty, they would lose focus, right? Because they had a pretty narrow focal length.
yeah,
And so if you moved them just like a half an inch to the side, you'd get a blurry image. And then
amazing.
I can't really, they don't have like a screen on them. So I have to, like, to focus the camera, I'd have to go look at my monitor over here sitting on the desk and try to like get it. Anyway, it was crazy. But I had, like I said, about 15 cameras set up. And when I was setting up all this stuff, I just remember like the people looking at the stream setup and they're just like, "What the hell is going on here?" Right? And it was something people never seen before. They had no idea. And yeah, the it was actually funny. One of my, who's become a good friend of mine now, Scott Rumpel, is a local Utah Space Wolf player,
Okay,
and his army's gorgeous. He's really good at the game. His army's just absolutely gorgeous. He's one of these guys I call a triple threat, which is great at the game, beautiful army, and a great sport, right? Like a
perfect.
gentleman.
Yeah,
Those
yeah,
three
yeah.
things are what you're always looking for. And he played on my stream, the first stream I ever did, and he got absolutely demolished by somebody on stream. And
Right.
his buddies made him this T-shirt afterwards that said 15 angles of shame or whatever, that showed like
I
getting
love it.
just beamed down with 15 cameras. Yeah, but that was really, it was a cool experience. But it's also something that I still go through, actually, Dave, every weekend, which is the first moment you hit that go live button
Yep.
on a stream and you're just hoping people tune in.
Yep.
It's nerve wracking, dude. It's extremely stressful, because you go through all this, because you got to remember, at this time I had spent a year behind the scenes getting all
Waiting.
this stuff
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
ready, right? Just hoping that it was
Hoping
gonna
it's gonna
be good
work.
enough for people to want to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so I go to the stream, I hit go live. I don't remember how many viewers we had then. I think it was like 15, maybe 20. Um, and there's a few guys, by the way, who were on that first stream. I don't know how they found the stream. Like, there's one of the people who watches my stream. His name is Agustin Gutierrez, and he found my stream that very first
Wow.
weekend,
Okay.
and he's been watching the stream ever since,
That is
right? And he,
amazing.
like, I think he's in Argentina or something. I don't know how he found the stream to this day. I
That's
have
so
no
cool.
idea. And then I have one of my buddies back from my hometown where I was from before, Alamogordo's named Mark Jackson. He made it a point to tune into my stream every weekend for like the first 6 months, that I was streaming, and he was always there first thing in the morning, always in the chat to say hello and and sit there and hang out with people and chat and stuff. And I mean, to this day, like people who were there at the beginning. I mean, I appreciate everyone who watches the stream. Don't get me wrong.
Of course,
but like especially like Mark, especially like just that level of support that I felt like I was getting from people right from the beginning. And I think it was there partially because people saw from the beginning that I was trying to do something new and give people something that they had been wanting for a long time. And I'm just really glad that I've always just made this show that I want to watch. I don't ever think about, well, I'm going to do this differently because I maybe don't like it very much, but other people would like it more.
Yeah, sure.
I never think about that, Dave. Like I don't even consider that stuff.
Good.
Because I want to make the show that I want to watch, and I'm just still flattered to this day and so grateful that there's so many people who seem to like the same thing that they tune in, week after week, even after 4 years.
You're a fan of the game.
Oh yeah.
You're a player of the game. So of course, what you're making is what a fan wants to see, and that's clearly the case. I mean, where are you now? Like, you crashed through 30,000 a while ago now, right? Subs wise, like it was. I was watching you. I was watching you when you were at 29.99 something, I think, and you were like, oh, are we going to get through it? And I mean, that's amazing. I mean, and I think, wasn't it during WTC you had like 9,000 viewers or 12,000 viewers watching one of the games? It was like
yeah, we had.
I think it was what you were hoping to do.
Yeah, I just, that's still at a certain point the numbers just stop like meaning anything. It's hard to picture. There's like 14,000 people watching that stream game at WTC when Starry was playing on stream, like concurrently.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's insane, right? I think we've had more people than that watching one other time, which is when we were on the front page of Twitch on Frontline Gaming's channel when I did LVO the first time, or the first time I did like the mainstream for LVO, because Frontline Gaming like knows someone at Twitch and they put the stream on the front page, and we had like 50,000 people watching, but that's like fake, right? Because it's front page of Twitch. People aren't really watching your stream; they're just watching the front page of Twitch, and you happen to be on it, so they look at the channel. That was like the first time at WTC that we had a number like that I thought was. I honestly, Dave, that night I went home. I was like, did someone like cheat and send view bots to the stream or something? Like, it came out of nowhere from my point of view. Like, that was a huge number compared to what we usually have.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I hope no one did that. But it was pretty cool. Yeah, and the WTC stream this year was about double what we had last year.
It was really
which
good.
Is in just a year. Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
I mean, it must. When you think about, like, just take the WTC number, right? Like, regardless of what the other 50,000 number, but I mean, when you think about putting what 14,000 people in front of you would look like, or we're sitting in seats.
I know. I try to visualize that sometimes, and that's what I said. Like, the numbers don't make sense anymore, right? Because it's just like that's like a stadium full of people, right? Like, which is that's insane to me. Like, I still don't. I actually usually don't even look at the numbers during the stream. Like, I have that number like off screen somewhere.
Yeah, sure.
Because again, for a while at the beginning, I would look at it during the stream a lot, and what I noticed was like, I wouldn't change what I was doing, but it would make me anxious when the number would go up and down.
Right.
Did the number go down because I just said something that pissed people off, or is the number up because this player's on stream, or whatever? And when I realized that's not healthy, I just don't care anymore. I just don't look at it during the stream. I look at it afterwards, right? But I don't look at it during the stream anymore because, honestly, I'm at a point now where the stream's big enough where it sustains what I do, like sustains me being alive, and I can keep doing the stream. And anything that's above that, as far as I'm concerned, is just gravy. Like, I'm not someone who's. I'm not trying to turn this into some multi-million-dollar.
Yeah, you're very transparent about doing that. You're not looking for big corporate sponsors to come in and like monetize the entire thing. You're always super open about that, and I think it's amazing you've turned this thing into we'll talk about the vehicle in a minute, but a vehicle for you to live the life that you are now, and that it is sustaining you. And it's like, and you do like doing it. Like you said, if you're still getting, if you still feel like you go to an event and you click go live, and it's like, right, here we go, like we're going on, and now I get to watch people playing the thing I like and I'm really passionate about. And because what I was going to say as well earlier was when you were talking about the camera setups, is the other thing your stream, you do on your stream, and you talk about every single time it happens, is when you cut to one of your, say, cameras on like the rail or the dolly camera, when you've got, say, like Primark versus Primark in the middle of the field surrounded by Terminators or something, you, every single time, totally genuinely are like, look at that fucking shot right there. Like, this is what we do this for. Like, and I love that that comes through every time from you.
It's so, because to me, honestly, Dave, like, that to me is like a half of what makes Warhammer great. Like, there's all the other stuff, like there's the game is really like tactically very interesting.
Yes.
There's really cool, like, list, like, if all that stuff wasn't in the game, I wouldn't be into it, right? Of course, that stuff's important to me, but at the end of the day, what makes Warhammer different from like War Machine or Bolt Action or chess, right? For me, is that visual aspect. That Warhammer just does better than anything else. There's nothing in gaming that looks like a Warhammer game in progress. It's just, even before I was streaming, I used to, in my local game store, because I was the Space Wolf player forever, and you guys who are watching know this. If you're your local melee army player, guess what? You're also your local terrain painter. Because back in the day before there was like predetermined layouts, if you wanted to play a game where your army didn't just get blown off the table on turn
you
one,
bought your own terrain.
you would make sure that your local store had nice terrain, right? So that was my
love it.
So I would paint terrain, and I would always ask the game store if I could play like in the front window of the store, because I would love when, like, I'm sitting there playing a game of Warhammer and people just off the street would walk in off the street and be like, what's going on here? This looks so cool. What are you guys doing? You're not going to get that with any other game, right? There's no other game that has that same visual impact that Warhammer has, right?
And I think it blends the.
To me,
if you were a fan of the lore as well, or the stories and the background, is when you're playing a game, like, you can have these like moments of suspension of disbelief, right, where it's like you can see it playing out in your like mind for that weird suspended second that stretches out a bit, where it's like that battle that you've read about, these legions that hate each other are competing on the table, and you can tell that the two of you are both like thinking the same thing. That just adds a whole different layer to the game.
I do that sometimes in a stream too, like it's sort of tongue in cheek sometimes, because in the old days of Tournament 40K, people would kind of mockingly talk about the narrative of the game, because again, this is one of those old school Warhammer things. Because back in the day, Dave, like before 8th edition, we had the Allies Matrix, and in the Allies Matrix version of 40K, you could literally have like Eldar allied with Slanesh demons on the tabletop, right? Like, that was allowed by the rules.
Sounds fair.
And so, and tournament armies were fucking disgusting as far as like from a lore point of view. They were disgusting, right? Like my tournament army in 7th edition, I never went as deep into the Bark Star, Thunderwolf Cav Death Star as some people ended up doing. But the version of Space Wolves that was good in 7th edition was Space Wolves allied with Dark Angels, okay? Gross. That's gross, right away, first of all. And then you'd also have like Ultramarines. I had a list I brought to a tournament once that was 6 different factions allied together. I had Grey Knights, Space Wolves, Sisters, Ultramarines, White Scars, and I think there was one other one. But
amazing.
You did all this because you wanted to give these different keywords to your units so they could do cool stuff or whatever. But back then, the game, like from a lore point, this is something I talk about on the stream a lot. You can talk all the shit you want about whether or not you think the game is, like, some people get nostalgic for earlier editions. Listen, the game is more fluffy and more like narrative just naturally now than it's ever been before,
Okay.
right? As far as a tournament, like a tournament play, right? Like you can bring a powerful army to a game, and it looks like something that you could conceivably have in a Warhammer Black Library book, right?
Okay.
Right. Which is something I don't think GW gets enough credit for, because it's I think it's amazing how good armies look as far as like looking like armies, even without having force org charts, without having like restrictions on the way you have to build your army. The armies still end up looking like Olivier Weiss last year at WTC, not this one here, but the year before when he ran Black Templars. He was running like 120 Black Templars, just infantry guys, and it was so cool, man. Like it was just like a it would look like a crusade of Black Templars walking across the table, and it was the best army in the game that moment, right? But hands down, he won the War Master. His team won the team tournament. And it was such a cool like moment of the most powerful army in the game also being like extremely lore friendly.
Yeah.
I love when that kind of stuff lines up like that. So
that's super cool, man. I mean, I guess going back to kind of you being on the road and like how going full time with this kind of thing. So could you give us a bit of background on kind of like life on the road, like the kind of war wagon, the dogs, like how do you kind of how I think a lot of people might go, wow, that feels like that'd be a really difficult thing to maintain. But I guess for you now, like us talking a little bit beforehand, it must be kind of, that's just what you do now, right? It's your life. It's kind of, this is what you've chosen, the path you've done, and this is it. But I mean, how was that to start with? And then, you know, how have you kind of continued to, I guess, evolve that lifestyle?
Yeah. So when I started the stream, I knew that to make it work, I would have to do this. I'd have to live on the road full time, because the thing that makes there used to be other Warhammer streamers too, and they were like regional streams where they would stream their like regional tournament circuits or whatever, but they would only stream like 2 or 3 times a year, or like Frontline Gaming had their streams a couple times a year, right? And what I realized right at the beginning, I was like, the only way this works is if you can stream almost every weekend, because the whole streaming game is about consistency.
Yeah, it is.
It's about making sure people know that when they can plan a little bit around the fact that you're going to be live at this time every week, right? So they can start like putting,
chunks as well. So, like you said, planning around it for your community is really important.
Absolutely, and I take that really seriously, right? That's a responsibility that I take on when I say to people, "Hey, it's part of the give and take." It's like I want you guys to be there when I go live, so that I'm not just talking to the ether. But at the same time, I need to commit to the fact that when I say I'm going to be somewhere, you guys know that I'm going to be there, right? Like it's part of that mutual thing. Yeah, exactly. So, and I take that really seriously. When I tell a tournament that I'm going to be somewhere, I think in the 4 years I've been doing this now, I've only ever had to back out like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And it's always been because of either like last minute car trouble or being super sick. That's the only reasons I've ever backed out. So I take it really seriously that, when I say I'm going to be somewhere, I'm going to be there. But yeah, so I knew right away that the only way to make this work would be to live on the road full time, because just financially speaking, if you had like millions and millions of dollars, sure, you could just live in a city and fly back and forth to these tournaments every weekend. But again, we're talking about shoestring budget here. I'm not, when I jumped out into the void and was like, I'm going to try to make Warhammer streaming my living, which is, I did that from the very beginning, Dave. There wasn't like a transition period where I was like, I'm going to do this part-time for a while, see if it works. No, I didn't do that, right? I just, because that's just the way I am. I'm not good at half-assing stuff. Like I have to be all in or I'm all out of something. So I was like, I'm just going to try this for as long as I can, see if it works. But when I started the stream and I went out on the road, I think I had about $2,000 total in the bank. Right. Like money to live on, to pay for gas, to drive around, whatever. And so but I knew that I would have to do it this way, because this way I'm not paying for hotel rooms. I'm not paying for eating out at restaurants. I'm not paying for plane tickets. And so I ended up living on the road because I had to, but it also, I think it fits my personality really well because I have wanderlust in me, right? I'm the kind of person who I can't stay in one spot for a long time. I never have been. Like I've
Right.
always been wandering around. You know, I hiked 1,000 miles of the Appalachian Trail with me and my dog that I had before Carbon, just because like I just enjoy seeing new places and going to different places, and I just don't like having my I don't like having deep roots in a spot.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so when I first started off, I I had and there's a video still on the channel. That's the first war wagon was a truck camper. It was a slide-in truck camper
Okay.
that was very small. It was I don't even remember how to describe it, but it was basically like the bed of a pickup truck,
Okay.
and then the walls would like pop up, and there was like tent walls on the sides that was just barely tall enough for me to stand up in,
Right.
and the whole back of it was filled with all my streaming equipment. So like at night when I would want to stop and have like room to move around inside the truck, I would take all the streaming stuff out of the back of the truck camper and stick it underneath the truck, just outside underneath the truck, because otherwise I wouldn't have enough room to just turn around inside the inside the camper. Um, so I had that. It had I had heat on board with like a little propane tank. I had water, but I didn't have any like electrical system or anything
Right.
else. And when I first started, there was this thing, and I actually still use it. It's called Harvest Hosts, which is an app that it's like $100 a year,
Okay.
and there's all these like farms. There's like farms and wineries and breweries and museums and stuff all over the country that sign up for this thing that let people stay in their parking lots
Oh,
for
that's amazing.
free. Yeah, with the idea that some percentage of those people will come in and buy something, right? Like you have a restaurant, you put yourself on this
Yeah, yeah,
app,
yeah.
people sleep in your parking lot overnight for
They're
free.
gonna
They
go and
come in the
wander in
morning, they
and
have
yeah.
breakfast. Yeah. So so when you sign up for this thing, they're like, oh, make sure that every time you go someplace, just buy about $25-$30 worth of stuff as a thank you to your host. And for the first year that I did this, Dave, I didn't buy anything. I just stayed in the places for free, right?
Sure, sure.
Because I didn't have enough money to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, completely.
And so many of those places were super nice people, right? Just people with like beautiful farms. Just sleep over in this field for a couple nights.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. We don't need any money from you, whatever. Um, so I did that pretty much every night and then about once a week I would pay for like a campsite somewhere where I could take a shower, and I also had a like a Planet Fitness, like a gym membership where I could go take a shower
Yeah, yeah.
anytime I wanted during the week at different gyms across the country. Um, but I did a lot of sleeping in like Walmart parking lots, um, gas station parking lots, truck stops, um, rest areas just along the side of the highway, um, like national forests, which you can go camp in for free. Basically, just trying to figure out like the cheapest way I could do this um, without paying, like literally not paying anything
Yeah, yeah.
for lodging at all. And then I think I was eating like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches almost every meal for the first 8 or 9 months of the stream, something like that.
It's an amazing commitment to it.
There's a funny story. Early on in the stream, I bought a couple of T-shirts that said War Games Live on them with stream staff on the back.
Yeah.
I had T-shirts, and the first time I did a 3-day event, I was like, well, shit, I only have 2 shirts. So I was wearing a different shirt on the third day, and then someone on the stream was like, hey, dude, why don't you have a third shirt? I was like, well, I can't
Yeah, yeah,
afford
yeah.
3 shirts. I can't afford 2. And he sent me some money to buy a third shirt
That's
for
amazing.
for the stream. But I mean I have so many stories like that, Dave. Like literally, my whole existence is based off the generosity of the Warhammer community, like the people who love this game.
But like you said, it's a give
That's
and
just
take. It's a
all
give and
that.
take thing, right? You've made an enormous personal commitment to being where you say you're going to be, creating the rig, the software to do it. No one else is doing this. I was going to say, for those of you who are not in the US or are not familiar with the scale of the place, like I mean, you can say, Joe, how much miles, but I mean, like, you are literally driving thousands of miles
Yeah.
between, even sometimes between events, you know, week on week. It is not you're not spending an hour in the car to go to, you know, in the wagon to go somewhere. So I think then that the community realize this, and I think they appreciate what it is you're offering them. And there's people, I mean, in the chat who are like, you know, WGL is the gold standard of Warhammer streaming. You know, people are just saying love from the US. Like, there's people saying loads of lovely things about it, and it's that's so I think it's fair. Like, people, it's an interesting one where you're not saying, hey, you've got to pay a load of money to watch this, but you've now got to the point where people love what you're doing to a level where they're like recognizing that if I want to have more of this thing I love, then actually I'm willing to, you know, part with cash to do that, and to donate towards it and to support you and allow you to keep doing it.
Well, you don't think, Dave, like that whole like crowdfunding thing is something that our generation, like people who are my age and younger, we can be proud of, because we kind of invented this whole thing, and we do it. I'm one of a vast majority or this huge number of content creators out there who we're doing something we love. People love watching it, and they're paying for it out of the kindness of their heart and out of a sense of like shared responsibility to keep this thing going. And to me, like, the idea of crowdfunding stuff is one of the things that like restores my faith in humanity when I start getting down about like all the horrible things we do to each other. But like, we have this one thing where a whole bunch of people can get together and chip in just a little bit of their hard-earned money to contribute to something that everyone can enjoy. And to me, that's like, and it's completely voluntary, right? It's completely like no one's telling anyone, well, if you don't give me this money, then, you know, I'm not gonna. If I don't make this much money, I'm not gonna be live next week, right? I never want to be in a position where I do that, right? Because that's not cool, right? And I just think it's very awesome that not just me, but like there's lots of people who can make a living based on just trusting that people out there will be generous with their money and with their time, and that's just amazing to me. You know, it's awesome.
Content creation, such a fascinating like revolution in kind of consumption of entertainment and things where, yes, there's a lot of it that's very negative and, you know, very cynical and corporately driven and stuff like that. But then, like you say, there's the side of this where it's people who love a hobby like Warhammer and tabletop gaming who can, you know, experience something collectively. And, you know, and also I think what's interesting about the streaming, and someone was talking about it in the chat, is that you also get to do a bit of interaction with your audience. You know, you can actually, while it's going on, like, you get to actually engage with them in real time and talk about it. And I think that's another wonderful, version of
I mean, Dave, that's the only way that I keep doing this, right? Like the thing that keeps me coming back week after week is, it's not always the Warhammer, because sometimes the game is kind of shit. Like at the beginning of 10th edition. At the beginning of 10th edition, Dave, So I had a double whammy, right? Because it was the end of 9th. Everyone else, like all the YouTube guys, were already streaming 10th edition stuff, and I'm still covering 9th edition tournaments because I need to eat, right? So I'm still covering. I'm covering 9th edition tournaments, which, you know, it's a dead meta. It's stale. People weren't that interested in it. And then 10th comes out, and the balance was so horrendously bad at the start of 10th as well that, like, it was a dark time for me. Like, do I want to keep doing this, right? And the thing is that I realized then it was a good experience, because what I realized is, yes, the Warhammer is important, right? Like, we're there to hang out and watch the Warhammer, but at the end of the day, the channel is really about community more than it is about the game, right? And I know that sounds corny or whatever, but because some people use that language in a cynical way or in a disingenuous way, but I really do feel like the thing that makes my channel special is not the camera angles and the software and the UI and all that stuff. That stuff is all the honey in the trap
Yeah.
The thing that is actually amazing about my channel is the amazing community of people that have gathered around it over the years, right? Like just people who just crack me up every weekend. Like I literally laugh out loud every weekend about something, some clever, hilarious thing someone says in chat, or people being just super genuine and super generous. Like, and just being a great place to hang out. Like it feels like a room full of people. It's like that old show Cheers, right? It's like you walk into the
No.
bar and everyone knows your name. Yeah, and that's what I really feel about the channel. That's so incredible to me.
Yeah.
And that's been a really freeing thing for me as well, because like I think about some of these guys out there who they're doing Warhammer stuff, and their audience is based on people watch them because they're the best at whatever, right? Or because they know the most about something or whatever. And to me, that's like a scary place to be, because as soon as you start falling off or falling behind, then you lose your audience, because you've built them on the idea that the reason they're watching you is because you're the guy who knows everything about
You're
X,
the
Y,
cutting
Z,
edge.
right? Yeah, and I've been pretty open about the fact that I don't know everything. In fact, I don't even try to know stuff, Dave, because I think of my stream as like walking into your local game store and seeing a game going on at the table, right?
Yep.
And I don't know if your stores are like this, but every store I go to, there's always a guy sitting there at the table who like knows every rule of the game backwards and forwards. And if I don't understand how something works, I'm just like, hey, John, how does this thing work? And John's like, oh yeah, blah 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 blah. And, oh, okay, cool, thanks, man. And that's the way I treat my chats, right? Like I don't have to be the guy who knows everything about Warhammer, because I've got this awesome community around in the stream that actually enjoys reading the rules for like who actually reads the who reads the rules of Warhammer.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the time, right? Nobody ever at all times knows everything and every interaction possibility. I mean, there's got to be. I wouldn't even want to try and compute what that'd look like, but I think that's the other thing I like about your channel, when you've got people on, and let's say a mistake happens in the game, like you are very and always have been consistent about saying, we're not going to go and interrupt this, like, because watch what will happen. And you've said it so many times, and then it's happened, and you've gone and watch, because in a minute the opponent will make a mistake, and it basically the universe balances itself out statistically. So it's, and you also can't go over and just be like, hang on a second, right, stop everything that's happening, pause the clock, Tio, like put that back there. Was it 4 inches there? Was it 5? Like you can't do that. Like it needs to just kind of go, and nobody's perfect. So
and that's the thing too, Dave. I think that when I started the stream, I was afraid of saying I don't know on the stream, right? Because you're in this position of authority, when you put yourself out there. And when someone asks a question about a rule or whatever, you're like, and to say I don't know, it's scary. But I think that me being honest and open about the fact that I don't know all this stuff has created an environment where people understand that it's okay to not know everything about the game. So when stuff like that happens in the game, like in the actual game, and people get something wrong, well, of course they do, right? Because nobody knows all this stuff. There's just so many things going on. And are there people in the community that like abuse that? Yeah, there are, right? There definitely are people out there who use the fact that the game is complicated to make mistakes on purpose to get an advantage. I mean, yeah, of course. But the truth is that it's such a small number of guys in the community. It's vanishingly small. And I really think that sometimes other channels or whatever, they put too much attention on those things when they do happen, and it gives people the wrong impression that stuff happens a lot when it really doesn't. So for me, it's this question of, okay, it's a fine line, right? Like, do we not talk about it ever?
Yeah.
because then it sounds like you're brushing it under the rug, but at the same time you don't want to talk about it too much because
It
you're talking
misrepresents.
disproportionate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I don't know, man. It's a tricky because there are people who interact with Warhammer out of a negative place,
Yeah.
and
Completely.
they love it. They love it when that shit happens because it reinforces all their negative stereotypes about
Yeah.
tournament players and Warhammer and all that stuff. Um, and to me, like when I see that stuff happening, it's just sad. Like I honestly, I was talking to some TO last week, and like I honestly feel like we should have like a counseling service or something for these people. Like you catch them cheating in a tournament. Like here's the number of a
Yeah.
therapist that you need to go talk to. You know, go talk to this therapist 5 times, and then you can come back and play in
Yeah.
Warhammer
This
tournaments
isn't
again or
important
something. I
enough
don't
to
know.
be doing that kind of
Yeah,
stuff,
it's crazy. Yeah,
Well,
Anyway,
I mean,
so
I totally appreciate your view on that. I mean, I think the thing that I would say that we love most about the Discussing Resilient community that's ended up being, 1,300 Death Guard players and some non-Death Guard players. There's some Orc players in this stuff because we always say as well, if you want to also learn how to beat Death Guard, this is a really good place to kind of come because everyone talks
oh
about
yeah,
everything
yeah.
from list to everything, but it's more the fact that if you're a new player and genuinely, if you're a new Death Guard player and you want to know how do I start learning to play this thing? What is a 1,500? What's a 500 point list? What should I buy first? If you go in, not even talking to Aidan, Will, or I, leave us totally out of it. I always describe our group now as the lunatics who have taken over the asylum. Like, you go in there and ask that question, you will get 50 people who will say, hey, welcome to 40K. What do you want to know? Like, here's what I did. Here's some recommendations. Like, you can, and I think that's what, and on the whole, like, that's what everything should be like. It should be
Oh,
it's like
yeah,
you
absolutely.
might have come in the door because of us, or you think that we're, you kind of like these people seem nice and approachable and whatever, but like what you'll stay for is the group that are there, the community of other people that are
Absolutely.
here.
Well, and that's what I think the strength of tournament 40K is. Like, I almost like I try to make a distinction in my language between tournament 40K and competitive
Yeah,
40K, because you can be a tournament player
yeah,
and not be that competitive,
yeah.
right?
Of course,
Those
completely.
two things are not necessarily the same. Um, but what I've found is that our community of tournament going players is hands down more open and welcoming to new people coming
Absolutely.
in because so many of us just enjoy it, having a good game of 40K, and we love sharing it with other people. um, Honestly, I've seen more people and heard more stories of bad experiences with people just walking into like a random
Yeah,
game store and playing a local dude at a game table than I've ever heard of people having issues at tournaments, right? Because I think there's a level of sportsmanship and camaraderie and everything that like goes along with signing up to coming out to playing
that's
in a
also part of the
Warhammer tournament.
contract. Is that when you're going
Yeah,
to spend when you spend 3 hours across the table from a complete stranger, often.
yes,
And don't get me wrong, I love it when I run into I love running into the people that I see at tournaments and and that. But when you go, right, we've never met before, we know nothing about one another, but we owe it to each other to make these 3 hours an enjoyable time. And so that if you're new to this,
it's
you want to
speed
keep,
dating for nerds.
yeah, like we
Yeah,
want to be like, come back,
speed
we
dating.
both want to come back and do this again. So
Absolutely,
let's
yes,
have fun. And
100%.
what I'd rather do is walk away and go, hey, the guy I just played on that game was awesome. The game was brilliant. Like whatever the result was, that we both had a good time playing that game. And I mean,
Absolutely.
I got taught to play by a friend, and I signed up for LGT, having only been playing for 3 months because I was like, I like the tournament thing really appealed to me. Like,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I was like, this is going to be super competitive. Everyone's going to be, hyper aggressive on rules, blah, 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 blah. It was not that in the slightest. Like I learned
right.
more in those, 2 days of playing 5 rounds and getting my butt kicked horrendously every single game. I learned
Yep.
more about
Yep.
playing the basics of 40K with people going, either no, it's not quite how that works, or what you should do is do this, or next time think about and people were welcoming, friendly, and I immediately was like, this is a scene I want to be a part of. So I've been, I think I think I kind of try and do, when the UK is easier because we're not so, distance isn't so big, but I think I've played 5 super majors a year for 4 years,
Wow,
and then other
that's
things.
awesome.
So, but
Yeah,
that's because
yeah.
the community is great. And when I then get to see other people now that I recognize the names and, that are at the events or whatever, it's a good place to be.
Yeah, you kind of start off with your little clique of people at the
Yeah, you
events,
do.
but then you go to more and more of them, and your circle just expands and
Yeah,
expands
it
and
does.
expands and expands. And yeah, it's one of the best things about it. Yeah, and I say this a lot in my stream too, but 40K is also kind of unique in that it's such a cooperative, competitive game. I
Yeah,
can't
it
think
is.
of another game that is as cooperative as 40K while simultaneously being super competitive, right? Like it's such a weird mix of wanting to help your opponent play their best game,
Yep.
but also wanting to beat them as hard as you can, right? And it's
Yep.
such a cool. I also I joke about it on the stream a lot of times. It's like you and your opponent versus the rules of Warhammer, basically, right?
It's a really
Like
good way to put it.
it's such a because it is. It's like it's such an obtuse kind of a game that you really have to work with your opponent to make sure that the game state is something you both agree on because it's not just
Yes.
self-evident based on it's not like chess where like yes this guy is in this square on the table and he has this move set and he can go here or here or here, right? These are your 3 options that you can do with
Yeah.
this knight, right? Like 40K doesn't have all that
No.
clarity, and so you have to if you want to actually play the game you have to communicate
You've
with
got to
your
play together.
opponent
Yeah.
about exactly right. And I don't know if GW did that on purpose. Like I feel like maybe they lucked into it,
I
but
think they're. I
it's
think they
something
probably looked
about the
into
game.
it.
Yeah, because I don't know how you design that on purpose,
But
right?
also, if you take something
But
like
it's
chess as
such
well,
a
because you're completely right. Like what you don't do in so many other sports or competitive things is you don't go. Your opponent's about to do something, and you're like, "Hey, like, hold on a second. If you do that, then I'm going to do this, and what that might mean is, on
right,
average, this is going to happen to you. So if you don't want to do that now, that's totally fine."
right,
And
because
also I
you
think it's where what
yeah
also you probably don't get in many other sports is 99% of the time when someone says that might not be the best thing to do is that they're not actually trying to game you. Like
right,
they are
right,
actively, to your
right,
point,
right.
saying for the for your best positioning, that's probably not the best thing to do.
Unless they're asking you if you want to Overwatch, that's
Yeah, yeah,
something you
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
ask every
If
single
someone
time.
asks you if you want to Overwatch every single time, you do it in the very last activation. That's just unwritten rule. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Joe, I was going to say, look, I said
yeah. No.
we chat for an hour. I know we're kind of a bit over that, so I don't want to keep you sat in the sun for the whole day. But can you, to the people that maybe don't know, just summary of War Games Live, like where they can find you, what you want to say about it. Please, like, mic's all yours. Please just use this as a way to get people to tell people about what you guys are about.
Sure. Thanks for having me on. First of all,
No,
Dave.
it's a pleasure. It's been really, really fun.
You know,
Thanks.
the first time I got exposed to you guys and Disgustingly Resilient was Aiden, like somehow winning Warhammer tournaments with Death Guard at the beginning of the edition when they were so bad.
Yep.
And then he just popped into my chat one day, and I was like, wait a minute, is that the guy who's like winning tournaments with Death
Yep.
Guard? That's crazy. And you guys have both been kind of a fixture around the chat ever since, which I really appreciate. But if you, I don't know what to say about the channel. It's War Games Live on YouTube is where to find the channel, and I stream almost every weekend. It's about 40 events a year that I get to do. So I'm streaming next weekend from Lubbock, Texas, which is the middle of goddamn nowhere, but there's a really nice community out there. But that's I've been back. This is my 3rd year. It's actually in a science museum, which is really cool,
That's
where the
quite cool.
tournament's going to be held. Anyway, so I'm streaming this weekend on Saturday and Sunday, and yeah, I mean, come by, check out the stream if you enjoy it. Like, the thing is, I will say is, I'm not trying to make a stream that everyone's gonna like. I think most people will like it if you check it out, but just give it a try, and if you enjoy it, then stick around. And it's just like tournaments, right? Like you go out to tournaments, you give them a shot, you start making friends, see people that you recognize week after week when you go to those things. The same thing is true in my channel. I think that I'm really proud of the community that we've built at the channel, and it's the best part about stream, in my opinion. And I would love for more of you guys to come and become a part of it. So
And Joe, I mean, where are you going to be at the end of September? Not in the US, are you?
No, no, I'm going to be at the LGT. I'm going to be in London. Well, I guess it's not really London, is it, Dave?
It's
I mean,
not.
it's not really
It's the
London.
outskirts of London. Yeah.
It's the closest you can get. Like, it's the furthest you can be from London and still call it London on
Yeah.
the
Well,
flyer for the tournament.
it's got this great catch-all term, which is Greater London,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which is basically like
No, but
such a huge area now.
it's it is a huge undertaking to
Yeah.
bring all this stuff on an airplane and come over. And I did the first time I did LGT. Honestly, it was just like a bucket list thing for me. It was like I want to stream all the biggest tournaments, right? I want to stream LVO, which I got to do really early. I want to stream LGT. Made it work. And after that first one, I was going into like I'm just gonna do this one time. It's gonna be cool. I can check it off my resume, and I'll be done. And God damn it, Dave, you guys were so incredibly warm and welcoming to me at LGT, like the UK Warhammer community, the people who watch my stream from the UK every week, that I just had to come back, and I just keep having to come back. I don't really want to go. It's a lot of work. It's expensive, and it's a long trip. But I feel like I love seeing you guys there. It's like the reason I go now is not because it's the LGT. It's a huge
No.
Warhammer tournament. It's my one time a year where I can get to come over to the UK and say, hey, thanks to you guys who watch me from the UK at the crazy hours you guys watch me from, and come say hi in person and really, just say thank you so much for supporting the channel. That's why I'm coming to LGT. And plus, there's an awesome Warhammer tournament happening. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
Honestly, it's
we love you over here. So
it's the most competitive. Oh, thank you, man. I feel the love. That's why I'm coming back. So I really appreciate it.
I still specifically remember walking past your you were midstream your table. It must have been 3 years ago, I think, and your table was just covered in Iron Brew. Where everyone kept, I think you'd mentioned on a stream before the event that you wanted to try it or you liked it, and then everybody just kept bringing it to you.
Iron Brew, Tunix tea cakes. What else did I get a bunch of last time I was there? I think I got a bunch of Yorkshire tea. Like great. You guys really take care of me.
Research what it is what do you want this year, and just in the streams building up to it, just make sure you tell us what it is you want, and like this, and the UK community will definitely bombard you with it.
Single malt scotches.
Nice.
Maybe?
That can be done.
No, I actually don't drink. Yeah, anyway.
Well, look, Joe, look, thank you so much for your time. Really, really appreciate it, mate, and for coming on. It's been great being part of your community as well. And like I said, I think I certainly get to watch it. Like you said, what your vision was for it at the beginning is certainly the reason I tune in and watch it. I like the no nonsense element about your stream, and you're right. I think capturing those the moments when you go, well, I can't go and play, and I do love this stuff. So getting to watch it in that manner is the next best thing. So yeah, please keep up the good work, and we're very much looking forward to seeing you when you come over to London in a few weeks.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to seeing you too, man.
Cool, thanks. So for everybody, thank you very much for tuning in tonight. If you're watching this on demand, there is a link in the live chat. We'll actually amend the video chat to include a link to Joe's channel, so you can make sure you can get there. Please do go and check it out from our side. We're all huge fans. That's all from us tonight. We will sign off there. And everybody, as Aidan would say, he's not here tonight, but stay rotten.